In this video, we're going to look at gender discrimination at work. We're also going to look at the laws that the state of California has put in place to prevent gender discrimination. And finally, we'll look at the financial remedies that are available to people if they're victims. Let's look at some facts and figures. Across the country, women earn 79 cents to every dollar that men earn in comparable positions. And California is not that much better. Women earn 86 cents to every dollar that men earn in comparable positions. That's terrible. But it gets far worse when you look at the higher paid positions. Across the top 2,500 companies in the nation, women occupy only 3% of the CEO positions. While that number is expected to rise, it's still not going to be anywhere close to fair anytime soon. And when you look at termination statistics, women are 10% more likely to be fired than their male counterparts. And it's even far worse when you actually look at kind of some of the more ambiguous stuff. Women are much less likely to be promoted than their male counterparts, and they're punished far more severely than men for infractions or perceived infractions. All of this goes to show that gender discrimination is alive and well in California and across the country. Now let's look at the law and some violations. California has had the Equal Pay Act on the books for decades. That law basically says that it is unlawful for an employer to pay women less than men for equal work. That's all fine and dandy. The problem with that law is the way it was written. It was very easy for employers to escape liability by pretending like they didn't make those decisions based on their gender. In 2015, California did a wonderful thing, which added an amendment to it, which alters a lot of that statutory language to allow women to prove their case. But that is still only a complement to the main anti-discrimination law in California. That is the Fair Employment and Housing Act. The Fair Employment and Housing Act can be found in the Governmental Code, section 12940, subsection A, which says it is an unlawful employment practice for an employer to take an adverse employment action against an employee due to gender. What does that mean? That means employers are not allowed to fire employees because of their gender, not allowed to demote them, refuse to promote them, refuse to hire them, punish them, harass them, so on and so forth. Employers are not allowed to make employment decisions that are adverse to an employee's interest because of gender. That's it. Very simple. And Title VII, the federal law, the one that applies across the country, is substantially the same. However, there are caps on damages, and California is a much more favorable forum. So 99 times out of 100 in California, we would pursue a case under the Fair Employment and Housing Act. Well, what do these cases really look like? What does gender discrimination look like? Well, there's two general types. First of all, there's disparate treatment, and then there's disparate impact. Let's talk about disparate treatment first. That is where an employer, a boss, a supervisor, has a bad motive against a particular employee. That manager makes a decision such as to fire someone or refuse to hire them because the victim is a female. Or is male, if you want to look at it in the reverse scenario, where a female supervisor decides to fire someone because of his gender. It works both ways. Just the more common violation, of course, is men treating women poorly. So it's about motive against a particular person. Disparate impact, on the other hand, is all about statistics. It's about when a group of people at an employer is treated poorly or paid less because of their gender. So for example, let's say you work at a massive company and they have 1,000 people who work the exact same job title. 500 of them are women, 500 of them are men. When you look at statistically, if the men earn more money for the same position and the equal work than women, then you've proven that on a statistics basis. It's not even necessarily based on motive. So disparate treatment and disparate impact are two different types of cases. By far and away, the most common one is disparate treatment, where a particular female calls an employment lawyer because she has been treated poorly, or a couple females call an employment lawyer because they have been treated poorly, fired, not paid properly, whatever, because of bad motives. Now, although I'm not really talking about it, in California it is unlawful to harass somebody because of their gender. I made an entire video about sexual harassment. There's also an entire video about hostile work environment. Harassment is discussed more in detail there, but I would be remiss not to mention that you cannot harass an employee due to gender either. If you're the victim of gender discrimination, there are multiple financial remedies that are available to you if you hire an employment lawyer. First and foremost, lost wages, or we lawyers like to say economic damages. That's the money that you were earning and you're now not earning anymore, or that you should have earned and you never did earn. Let me give you the following hypothetical. Let's pretend that you were making $80,000 a year at your job, yet the male counterparts in the same position were earning $100,000 a year. Well, you were making 80, but you should have been making 100 because that's what the males were earning. Well, if you go and you complain to your boss about the discrimination, or what you think is discrimination, and then they fire you, well, you're not making anything now. Those are tangible economic losses that a jury and a judge can measure. Next up on our list is reinstatement. Oftentimes in gender discrimination cases, reinstatement is thrown around because a lot of women just want to go back to their job and they just want to be paid fairly for their job. But what's more common in these cases are what we call emotional distress damages. These are damages for the pain and the suffering that somebody goes through as a result of being discriminated against due to their gender. It's the same as in a race case or an age case. These damages can often be the largest component of these gender discrimination cases. They're not to be minimized and they're very real. A lot of people experience severe emotional distress damages in these California gender discrimination cases. Attorney fees. Because California is the greatest state in the union, if you prevail in your gender discrimination lawsuit, you can win attorney fees as well as your underlying damages. Now, that typically doesn't go to the client. They typically go to the attorneys. But the point is they force cases often into early settlement discussions because the weight of attorney fees can be larger than the underlying case itself. Finally, punitive damages. Everybody's heard about punitive damages. Those are the damages meant to punish the defendant for such atrocious behavior to deter them from doing it again. Well, those are, everybody's heard about them. They're relatively rare and they're very difficult to win because you have to prove your case with malice, oppression, or fraud, none of which are easy to do. All told, these represent the remedies that somebody would get if they are successful in proving their gender discrimination case. I hope this video has been helpful. Take care.